Hello, happy thinkers. Melissa here with Think Me First and Rock Your Vibe Apparel. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to find your true identity. Be like water. And when I was thinking about when I was typing this title, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, your true identity really isn't lost, but it is because it's always inside you, but you do have to find that within you to find your true identity. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today, because a lot of people struggle with this. Right. It doesn't happen overnight. It's difficult for many to find themselves, especially if you've been kind of manipulated for a long time and you haven't been able to be yourself. Can cause some great issues and stress to people. So we're going to kind of try and dig deeper into ourselves so that we can find out, and understand who we really are now and then where we want to be. So as you listen to this video, just keep an open mind as to what I'm saying and, think of ways to help you find your true identity. So basically, this whole video, and I have an article on it too, it's going to be the same, but it was kind of prompted from a Facebook post that I read. And this person, I'm going to keep them anonymous, but they said, I'm failing to be myself. What's your advice? And it kind of really hit home with me because I felt really sad when I read this. And, I could relate because I've been in a similar space before. And it was a very stressful and lonely time for me when I went through it. So I felt really bad for this person. Now, I read a lot of the advice, and they got a lot of advice from some good people. But there was one comment that really stood out. And I just want to share that comment with you because it's a very sound piece of advice, and it was very beautifully written. It's by a guy from Australia. His name is Daniel Huckins. And, I reached out to him to ask him if I could use his quote in my blog and on this video. And he was really thrilled that I could, but I just want to share it with you. So to answer that person's question, he simply wrote, breathe. It's not written. It's to be discovered slowly. Do good and seek out the good in what you do. Strive at this, and little by little, an understanding will start. Baby steps. And, I get chills when I read it because it was very beautifully written and full of lots of love and just a very powerful message. So I just that's what this kind of the whole thing stems from. And because of the fact that I've been there, done that. So again, that was Daniel Huckins. But too many times we fall into these societal norms and we try to be people that we really aren't, because we want to fit in. It's human nature that we want to fit in with other people. But what we need to keep in mind and what we lose focus on is who we truly are. We need to be true to ourselves and, give ourselves time and credibility to grow and understand who we really are. It's then when we can actually find happiness to live a long and happy life. And kind of with that being said, we also need to be vulnerable though and open up ourselves and then find the courage to take risks to find ourselves. Ask yourself, what risks am I willing to take on so that I can try and find my true identity? And you may already know what that is, or you may be halfway there. Everyone's at different levels. So just think about that for a moment. And I use this phrase all the time. Is I always say, go with the flow, right? I think we've all heard it at one point or another. And, I never really related it to water as a reference. I don't know if it's where it came from. I can't tell you. When I think of go with the flow, I'm just kind of like, okay, go with the flow, just let things happen and react to them as you get to them, that kind of thing. I never thought of it relating to water, but, honestly, I use this quote quite often, and I never really knew the true meaning behind it. But I think it's a water reference, to be honest. If not, it fits perfectly for what we're going to talk about today. So when I talk about this, again, another inspiration was Bruce Lee. I think most of us know him. He's a Hong Kong actor slash director, martial artist. He's also an instructor and a philosopher. And I'm going to read his quote because a lot of this video, again, has transpired by his words about being like water. And you can apply this to everyday life, and it is so, so true. So his quote, it starts like, be like water making its way through the cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to objects, and you shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind and be formless, shapeless like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes a cup. If you put water into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. And if you put water into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be like water, my friend. And so this, we're kind of break this down a little bit. And that's why, the title is Be Like Water, and his quote, again, is a powerful message for all of us. So we're going to kind of break that down as to how we can adapt our lives to be like water. So things to think about while you're trying to find your identity is, again, we're going to reference water. Water, when it's in its humble state, has a willingness to go wherever it flows or wherever the flow takes you. Remember how I just said, go with the flow. So what this means is just we just need to be natural and work with life as it comes at us, not fight against it, because that's when the stress happens. All right. So we just need to find out what best works for us, not others, because what works for us may not be the same for you or your friend or your family member. So work with it, not against it. Now, water can capture reflections and shadows from the light above, yet it never loses its true nature. In other words, be true to yourself and your gut and your heart, because that is who you are. This is a very important step in understanding how to find your true identity, because again, you're using your heart and your gut, not your ego, because your heart and your gut are actually who you are. That's your authentic self. A true and a loyal friend or a loved one is going to love you for who you are, not what they want you to be. They love you for who you are. And these are the type of people that you want to surround yourself with. If you're constantly changing yourself just so you can fit in with certain groups, this is going to hinder you from finding out who you really are, for finding yourself. If you're always changing your ways to fit in, don't question why you are changing your ways to fit in. Don't question why you don't even fit in, because if you don't fit in, it's plain and simple. You don't fit in because you're not being true to yourself. You're not being your authentic self. So get out of that group and find another. There's so many people out there and so many groups that you're going to find someone. Again, we often spend too much time thinking about why we don't fit in. It doesn't matter. If we don't fit in, we don't fit in. We don't want to change ourselves to fit in. Okay. So just keep it simple for yourself. Don't create the stress. If you don't fit in, leave and find another. All right. Again, you're going to find the right friend group. So water, it can take on many different forms. It's from freezing or, going from freezing to boiling, but the molecular nature never changes for water. So, to apply it to us, one has to take risks to find out who you are. Okay. We need to step outside of our comfort zone sometimes and find out what we really like and what we don't like. This may take wearing different hats, but inside you are still who you are. You've heard it before. Part of life is failing, right? Yet learning lessons from those failures is what the actual journey is. For example, I often claim I have a customer facing job, customer related, I guess not customer facing, but I deal with customer service a lot. And people often hear me say, and I even have shirts to say, I don't like people. But, here I am every Wednesday showing up for you and trying to help others just be the best that they can be. So I really do love people. I love enjoying and enjoy helping other people's. But my job at work is just another hat that I have to wear, but I also get tons of lessons from that job to actually do what I want to do and help others. And then we also discussed that water takes the shape of whatever it's placed into. Placed into a cup, it becomes a cup. Placed into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Placed into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. We can do the same with any situation as long as you can adapt and not work against whatever the conflict is or the issue is. Then you've conquered it right there. If you can adapt and not work against it, you create less stress, hands down. All right. So think about that the next time. Think about water when it flows. It always flows with the current, right? Never against the current. It is the current. And if it is flowing and there's a rock in the way, what's it do? It divides. It finds another path. And that's kind of what I'm saying about kind of relating our situations to water. There may be an obstruction, but it finds a way. All right. Keep in mind too, water is soft. When you touch water, it's soft. But if it hits a rock long enough, it's going to break that rock down. So that's what I'm saying. Water adapts easily. And if we can do that with our lives, then our lives are going to be a lot more happier. If we're free and flowing like water in any situation, then we're just going to find that long, happy life that we like. And things are going to be easier for us. I'm not going to say easy, but they're going to be easier for us. If we do nothing but fight out life situations all the time and try to force them to be what we want to be or to force them into shape, then you're just going to cause a lot of unnecessary stress and suffer. All right. So again, finding your identity can be a difficult task. There's no written instructions to life, right? And everyone's going to be different. But if you apply this mindset of water to your everyday situations, you're going to find guidance in that. With anything else, start small with your practice and then just take larger risks as you progress. This way, you're going to learn more about yourself and what's best for you along your journey or as you grow. But also give yourself time to reflect on your progress and the steps it took to get there. Because the big reminder here is no matter how big or how small you are growing, you have to give yourself credit and celebrate those small wins. You're making an attempt and you're acknowledging it, and you need to use that as inspiration to go even higher and to be even better. All too often, we spend too much time thinking about the things that aren't working for us or the things that we should be, could have, would have, should have, instead of thinking about the things that we have done to get where we are. And we often, what's the word I'm looking for? We don't celebrate those, and we need to celebrate those small wins to make it, further with the bigger ones. So, one last thought for before we leave is, when we try to force ourselves into this shape, again, that others are demanding, we end up hurting ourselves. And then guess what happens? Then we have the lack of confidence, and then we're full of self-doubt, and it just all trickles downhill from there. But if we allow ourselves to be like water, we're able to handle any situation from a genuine perspective, a genuine place. By not going against the greater nature or going against your own authentic self, you're not only going to cause less, you're going to cause less stress for yourself and for those that you are around. All right. So be your authentic self, go with the flow. And then, you're going to be a more pleasant person for yourself and for others. So again, try not to fit in, because there's too many people that try to fit in and they just suffer and they create a lot of additional stress for them. So I'm going to ask you, how are you going to find your true identity? And are you going to be like water? All right. And before we leave, again, I wanted to make this a practice. Cards. So let's see what our cards have for us this week. And I'll do one more and I'll take the top card if nothing spits out. All right. So this time we have the chimpanzee. Use both your intuition and your intellect to solve the problem or get answers to your question. Again, this is the chimpanzee, and there you have it. I hope you can read that right. It's backwards for me. So, but anyways, thank you all for joining me. If you have any additional information, again, that you want to share with others, again, we're all here to help each other out. Please drop them in the comments below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. That drives our algorithms up for others to view us. Hit the subscribe button below and the notification bell, and you will be notified for all of our videos. But outside of that, I, again, thank everyone for your support. I love you. Remember, you are worthy, each and every one of you. You just have to believe in yourself. And thank me first. It's not selfish, but it is necessary. Thank you all. You have a good evening. Goodbye.